All right, today we're doing a bit of a postmortem. We're going to take a clinical look at the death of one absolutely massive tech dream and the incredible rise of the one that, well, killed it. This is the story of the Metaverse.
But here's the thing. This isn't just about cool headsets or virtual hangouts. At its very core, this is a story about a classic, almost brutal conflict in Silicon Valley. What happens when a huge, multi-billion-dollar dream runs smack into the cold, hard numbers on a spreadsheet?
So to really get what happened to the metaverse, we first have to zoom out and look at the environment it was trying to survive in. And let me tell you, it was a brutal one. Let's talk about the layoffs. Just look at that number, 245,000. That's how many jobs in the tech world just vanished globally in 2025 alone. Now, this wasn't some minor adjustment. It was a massive shockwave that shook the whole industry and forced some really tough calls about which big dreams would get to live another day. But here's where the story takes a twist. The reason for all of these cuts started to change, and fast. It wasn't just about, oops, we hired too many people during the pandemic. A completely new and way more powerful force started calling the shots, the all-out race to dominate in AI. And this chart, wow, it puts a real hard number on that change. In the US alone, AI wasn't just some vague idea floating around. It was directly responsible for nearly 55,000 people losing their jobs in 2025. It went from being a background hum to the main reason the music stopped for a lot of folks. Which brings us right to our main event. Let's look at how this huge, industry-wide storm led to one of the most high-profile U-turns in recent memory, Meta's huge, dramatic backpedal from the Metaverse. This timeline basically shows the final moments. After a whole series of cuts in 2025, the final nail in the coffin came on January 12, 2026. For a post-mortem here, we're calling that the official time of death for the original Metaverse dream. Why? Because Meta cut deep into the very division that was supposed to build it. And the number of casualties? Roughly 1,500 employees. But listen, these weren't just any employees. We're talking about the visionaries, the core engineers, the people inside Reality Labs whose entire job was to build this new future. It was a direct shot right to the heart of the whole project. And the justification? It came straight from the top. A directive from Mark Zuckerberg in 2025 made the new priority painfully clear. It was a direct order to slash budgets in other places so they could pour every possible resource into AI. The writing wasn't just on the wall, it was in a company-wide memo. This slide shows you exactly where that money went. See, this wasn't just about saving cash. Nope, it was a strategic reallocation. They literally pulled funding from those big, long-term virtual reality dreams and shoved it over to hardware with more immediate AI uses, like smart glasses. So, you see, Meta's big pivot wasn't some isolated thing. It was just the biggest and loudest example of a brand new reality taking over everywhere, the absolute total reign of AI. Now, it's really easy to look at this and think it was a simple switch, out with Metaverse, in with AI. But the reality of that internal scramble was actually way more complicated and a lot more telling. Because get this, even as Meta was gearing up to become this AI-first company, it had already laid off 500 people from its own AI division just a few months earlier. I mean, think about that. It shows you the insane pressure and panic they were feeling. They were so worried about falling behind that they were just ruthlessly clearing the decks to realign everything for the AI race, even if it meant cutting their own AI people. And make no mistake, this is happening everywhere, across totally different industries. You got Block in fintech, cutting 40% to rebuild around AI. Dow in chemicals and manufacturing, cutting 13% to bring in more automation. Pinterest, they cut 15% specifically to free up cash and jobs for AI. The pattern is, it's just impossible to ignore. So here's the bottom line. The Metaverse dream didn't just fade away or get old. In a very, very real way, it was cannibalized. Its budget, its people, its priority, all of it was basically sacrificed to pay the insane price of admission into this all-consuming AI arms race. Which leaves us all with one final, kind of a haunting question. As every single company in every single sector scrambles to pour every last dollar and every last engineer into the AI crucible, you have to wonder, What other big, ambitious, maybe even world-changing ideas are being left behind on that spreadsheet floor?